Lisa, you've been super successful, millions of dollars in sales, 4 amazing kids that you still have relationships with, right? Because it's so easy to find estranged family. But I came to your party, close-knit family, beautiful house, success. But what do you do like when the glitz and glamour's gone? You know, because so many times I get excited about doing something new and then it kind of fizzles out.
Yeah. Well, I feel like we make our own happiness, for one, right? And you know, what looks good on the outside isn't always the same, right? But I find that when you keep things in a certain order, like priorities, and we've learned that in companies that we've been with, when you have your faith in place, you have your family as an important aspect, and then you put your work next. I know that I just did a little training a couple days ago, and we talked about our values, okay? So let's think about our values. Write down your 7 most important values, and then make sure that they're in order of importance, and then evaluate where you're spending the most time. Because what is your most important value, you might not be reaching your goals because you're spending more time with a lower value, and then you're feeling out of alignment. So I think that that is a secret, because it is important to me. I love my family, and so I communicate with them, and if there's an issue or a problem, just like we've talked about friendship, you've got to talk to people, you've got to be honest, you've got to be authentic. And so on the days that things are not going great or you don't feel so good, that's okay, right? Not everybody is up and shiny and perfect all the time.
It's not sunny every day.
No, it's not, and I think don't have false expectations.
Yeah.
Either.
Unless you live in LA.
Well, it does sometimes rain in LA. It does. But you know, that's the thing. We set goals, we miss goals, right? We have expectations. Things don't always pan out the way that we planned them to, right? I mean, I believed in happily ever after, but I'll tell you what, I'm married to my 3rd best and last husband. but you know what? I was in the middle of stuff, and the middle of the stuff was yucky.
Yeah.
But it's not
Messy
yucky
in
now,
the middle.
you know? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. And I think that's the whole thing, that life's going to throw you curveballs, and anytime you decide you're going to go for something, the world usually falls apart to see, you know, how bad do you really want it?
Yeah.
How bad do you want it? And if you want it bad enough, usually the straight path, the easy path, the path you think should work doesn't.
No.
And you got to figure out a different path, but that's not a bad thing.
No.
That's not a bad thing.
No.
And the biggest thing I would say is be true to your word. If you know you can trust you, when you say, hey, I'm going to get to bed at 10 o'clock, and you know you can trust you, or you're going to say, hey, I'm going to meditate 20 minutes before I wake up, or whatever. Yeah. When you know you can trust you on the little things, then you learn to trust you on the big things, because otherwise we come up with these big goals and the voice inside of us is like, yeah, right. Do you remember how many times you've said that you were, and that voice becomes our critic? But, you know, like something that I'm really financially fit, really good at math. So when I do something financial or math goal, the voice inside of me is like, yeah, because it knows.
It knows.
That I make it.
Yeah. And I think, just like you said, knowing you, that comes down to sometimes scheduling, right? I mean, because life does come at you. And I can remember I used to have to actually put my hands over my heart, because I'm a yes girl. Like, I used to say yes to everything. I love to help people. I love to be willing to do things. And I remember my son came running in one day. Now, he was already like a teenager, but he's like, Mom, can you give me a ride here? And I immediately was ready to drop what I was doing and drive him wherever he needed to go. And I had to put my hand over my heart, because I had learned to do that. And I said, oh my gosh, I would love to give you a ride, but I'm not able to do that right now because I'm in the middle of working. And I said, you know, if you would have just told me yesterday, I would have scheduled it in. And he was like, that's okay, I'll go get another. I mean, I was all worried about it, but he was fine.
Yeah.
But I think that's another important thing, is that when you know what you're doing and you have things scheduled in, then when life happens, you don't get thrown off, you don't get distracted, you don't, the shiny thing doesn't pull you the other way. You still get your work done.
Yeah, so say no to good so you can say yes to great. And yeah, it would have been good to give her son a ride, but she said yes to great, which is teach him that, what I'm doing is important and helps our family, and him respecting that and knowing that, yes, you can count on me, but you also have to schedule in with me.
Yeah.
And having that self-respect, which a lot of people call boundaries, but having the self-respect to say, I'm not going to jump every time someone wants me to jump.
Yeah.
Because the minute you start jumping every time someone wants you to jump and you think they're going to appreciate the jumping, they only expect you to jump.
Yeah, they take advantage of you.
Yeah.
They just expect you to jump a whole lot more.
Yeah, a whole lot more. A whole lot of jumping.